Hello and welcome everyone to Galactic Gumbo episode 36. We are going to be talking about all things geeky. We have Mount Rushmore, where we're going to be talking about kind of our Mount Rushmore of wants for Haslabs. We saw that the Star Wars barge, that was approved, and that's going to be going through. So what are some of the things that are kind of on our wish list that we would like to see Haslab tackle? So we're going to each go through that. We'll cover hauls, and then we'll get into convention tips, do's and don'ts, some things you need to bring that are must-haves. Just because it's becoming, convention season. We're actually going to convention next week, so some kind of a little checklist for myself and Mike. And I know there's JoeCon coming up. Then there's Little Rock Comic Con, which Mike puts on. So there's a few other conventions as well. So we can get everyone. We do this every year about this time. Is tell you all the little tips that you need to know for conventions. And then we're going to talk about blind box and blind bag figures. Is it technically gambling? Or are we teaching kids, to enjoy gambling at a young age? So we'll kind of dive into that a little bit. And we're also going to be talking about KB Toys, just tossing the ideas around. Are these rumors? Are they true or are they not? So that's basically what we have for you today. Why don't we go ahead and do introductions? We'll start with Mike. Go ahead.
Hey, everybody. You can find me everywhere as Just Another G.I. Joe Show.
Rick, you always go after Mike.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram now as Shatrdglassjazz.
All right. Sportivus.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. Yes, you can find me on YouTube as Sportimus, as well as Facebook under Sportimus, and on Twitter as Sportimus Prime.
All right, and you can find me G1Xtron on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook pages, the G1Xtron. So let's go ahead and let's get into this Mount Rushmore. That's usually how we like to, kick things off. We'll get into the Haslab where it's just strictly Hasbro, but I'd also, like you mentioned before, let's mention some stuff that some other brands should tackle. So, Rick, this was kind of your idea, so why don't you kick us off, man?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I was really excited to see. I honestly did not think the sail barge was going to get funded. Like, I backed it, and I just kept my expectations low. So when I saw it, it got me thinking more about like what could be next, and what could happen. So, and these are in no order. But one thing that we've talked about on this show before is the Black Series 6-inch line, and wouldn't it be cool if we could get some vehicles? Well, now we have like a place where we could get some of those bigger 6-inch scale vehicles. So the first thing I wanted to list was the Empire Strikes Back, the Snowspeeder. I would love to have a Snowspeeder that's in that 6-inch scale. The second thing, let's keep it Black Series, Star Wars, because I really think this type of thing could really kickstart is a good word. Some more excitement for the Black Series line. Keep it fresh. Keep people wondering, what could we get? I want a Slave One for my Boba Fett.
God, you took mine. That's what I thought. I was like, oh man, Rick's really gonna love this one.
I mean, yeah, that's in the back of my mind. Is like, what if we could get one? That would be pretty amazing. So those are my first two. The next one we've talked about before on this show, will they ever make like an ultimate bigger Unicron for the Transformers line? And well, now we have a place that could do such a thing. And it probably could be done for under 500. I'm thinking more like, 350, like just a nice ultimate Unicron that, if you're a big time Transformers collector, he's kind of like the big boy, you're probably not going to skip him. So I think this is a good place for that. And probably the one that I want the most is a G.I. Joe modern USS Flag. If this I had heard a rumor that Haslab may only do one project per year. If they're looking for a project for 2020, the next year that G.I. Joe movie is supposedly hitting, man, it'd be nice to see a USS Flag crowdfunded. I'll back it today.
What about you, Mike?
Well, on the top of my list, coming right off of Rick, was a flag. If they're even if they were to do something 2019, Hasbro needs to do something to stay in touch with the G.I. Joe fans. And this would be great to give us a modern flag to go for our modern 3 3/4 figures. Like Rick, I mean, as soon as I saw it, I'd be one of the first ones to sign up for it. Another thing, we've talked about this on, I think here, I know we've talked about it on my show, and it would have to be, it had to be multiples, but it would have to be like a set of 6 to 8 6-inch G.I. Joe figures, like a Black Series Star Wars. You know, some people want them, some people don't. The best possible way is to try it underneath this program they're doing. 6-inch G.I. Joe figures, I'd be all over it, hands down, period. The Transformers, I would have to say, different than the Unicron, I would want an ARC, an Autobot ARC, to put in maybe deluxes or maybe legend figures. I don't know where they would go with that, but some kind of sized ARC to make, if they're building a 4-foot, whatever that thing is, for Star Wars, damn it, you can build a flag in an ARC. I mean, come on. And then the last thing, and I'll give a little love to the Star Wars fandom. You know, if you're going to do some Star Wars stuff, give them a damn Death Star. So, I mean,
But are you talking for 3 3/4 inch or 6-inch?
yeah, it'd have to be 3 3/4 inch. I mean, you do a 6-inch, Jesus Christ, that thing would be as big as a house almost. I mean, come on, man. I mean,
Well, even at 3 3/4 inch, like you're gonna have to scale down.
It's a
Like,
big-
I mean, it's
big
not
boy.
going to be. You know, you're not gonna be flying X-wing or
no, but you can still
fighters
get
with that thing.
a few levels in there, you know.
So you like with the Lego, like what Lego did, but a little bit big somewhere that would fit like a 3 3/4 figure in there, where you can open it up and you got like different
Yeah.
scenes and nooks. Yeah.
I mean, they should do. I mean, honestly, I mean, I wouldn't be against them making something 5 feet tall almost.
hmm
I mean, because in the long run, Hasbro's not the one out the money; it's the fandom, the people who back the project.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, as all these projects keep on going through, though, like us collectors that like dabble in a little bit of everything, like, where the hell are we gonna put all this stuff, man?
Our new house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what about you, Sportimus?
Well, a lot of you guys already mentioned what I was thinking. I would really love to see an arc for the Transformers. I don't really care what scale, as long as they make it. Complete with an interior. At least have Teletran 1 in there. That'd be cool. Secondly, I think we definitely need a Unicron. They've used that Energon Unicron way too many times. We are way overdue for an update on that. And I'm all for 6-inch G.I. Joes. I've been dying for a set of 6-inch G.I. Joes. At least do the main characters. I'd be happy with that. But those are the top 3. The fourth one would probably be that's a tough one. I've been thinking about that. Probably something with the Decepticons, like the interior of the Nemesis or something.
It's cool.
See, Hasbro, if you're listening to us, we want our 6-inch G.I. Joe figures. Stop toying with us.
Definitely. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Everything else has got 6-inch. Marvel Legends, the DC Universe. I mean, you know, it's out there, you know.
And we're not saying give us all of them. Give us like, let's just say, 4 to 5 Joes and 4 to 5 Cobras.
Let's
Give us Cobra Commander, Destro, Baroness, a Bat, and a Trooper.
And Zartan and Snake Eyes. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you can go that route. I didn't think about that. But then you just give a batch like 6 and 6.
Yeah,
6
one
Joes.
figure a month. Yeah, totally.
Oh.
Let's see. Rob Milton says, he goes, if they do a flag I'm on it. And Jonathan McKnight says, yeah, I'm all about a Unicron for sure. As far as for mine, the first thing that I wrote down was 6-inch, like a Black Series style, a 6-inch G.I. Joe figure line. And if that's what it takes, because like now you don't even see the stuff in the store for 3 3/4 inch. 6-inch, if you need to, like you said, need to test the market, then test it on me, because you already have your 3 3/4 inch collectors. There is a huge 6-inch market out there. Like I love G.I. Joe, but all the stuff I collect is 6-inch. So you're leaving a big portion of the collecting market out. Because your Black Series, your Marvel Legends, your DC stuff all comes 6-inch. So it kind of makes sense to get something in the door, even though it's not that traditional stuff. I mean, G.I. Joe was originally 12-inch action figures, and then they went to 3 3/4 inch, and so people were like, oh, they're going small, and they don't like that. It's change, Again, I think this is the time where you make that big change again, and you'll see a big increase in fans and also revenue as well. And let us show it to you through a crowdfunding thing, put up a really good solid first wave, and let me back it, and then if it sells good, say all right, here's another one, and you can do it more frequently to where it doesn't have to be like a once a year thing, but something that you can give us maybe 2 or 3 times a year, as long as we keep on buying it. I was gonna say I had the same idea for Mask. I know that they used to be little 2-inch figures or 2.5-inch figures. I would love, and I know that they did the Matt Tracker and some other stuff, where G.I. Joe scale 3 3/4 inch for some club stuff, but I would love a 6-inch. I don't even need the vehicles. The vehicles, I mean, that's all cool and everything, but I would love at least having the figures where they're detailed and having their mask, and that way I could have them on their nice little shelf and have them represented as well, because that was another brand that I really loved.
Or at least give us a Condor.
Yeah,
Totally-
like in
doable.
Star Wars, you can, like, they're coming out with the Dewback or the biker scout, had his little speeder bike. You could do like Condor and what was the other one? Piranha, as well. So a little motorcycle, and then he had the little bobsled looking thing, submarine. But yeah, you could do those and just kind of see how it works, but start off with action figures. So both of those, I need 6-inch. That way, I mean, because right now you have someone that would buy it all, but you're not letting me in the game. Here's my money. I'm ready to give it to you, but you're not letting me in because I'm not a 3 3/4 inch or a 3 3/4 inch collector. As far my other things were Star Wars related, and Rick named the one that I was like kind of first on there. I was like, what vehicle would I want more than anything? And I wasn't going to get ridiculous, like give me a Millennium Falcon, because I'm just looking. I'm like, man, where would I even put that? I'd have to get like a table in the middle, like Rick has, and just put it on top of that, and I would have to walk around it in the collection room. I guess it could work for me to, and it would be one awesome centerpiece, but I don't know. There's a lot of collectors out there. I don't know if everyone has a collection room, dedicated to their collection, and it would be a lot of shelf space, I think. So I thought Slave One, that would be awesome. It's big too, but I think that would be, I think that would instantly make it without question.
Should we be specific and say Empire Strikes Back, Slave One? We probably should.
Yes.
So there's no confusion.
Yeah. Yes. So, and then I love the Snow Speeder as well, and I was just gonna kind of add, X-Wing to that. The X-Wing's classic to go with the TIE Fighter. And I'm thinking with prices too, because I was going to ask you, Rick, like what's some of the prices that should be for these snow speeders and Slave One. Slave One's going to be a little bit bigger. With these TIE fighters, they were originally retailed at 170. The X-wing is going to be, I would
Cheaper.
think the X-wing, maybe like right at that 170 mark. Slave One, you're probably
Slave
looking
One's going to be more expensive,
probably
lot more
225,
plastic.
250.
At least. I'd be. I mean, I can tell you, if I bought the sail barge for 500 and it's absolutely massive, and Slave One's pretty big too, I'd be willing to go 399 for a Slave One that's like the best ultimate version of where it's somewhere between like a real, like an actual one they use in the movie and a toy, somewhere in there. I know they could do it. Yeah, I want him to be able to sit on the back of that ramp. If you want to pose him, I want a foot peg on the back of that ramp, and I want to be able to put him standing there on the ramp, and it be at least barely in scale to how it should be.
Yeah, so Slave One, I guess 250, 300. I still think that it would get funded at 399. Like I would have to cancel some stuff. I'd find a way. The same thing that I think with the cell barge. Like if this is something you really wanted, then you'll find a way. You got to cancel some other stuff and play catch up on that later. Then you do that. But yeah, even with these TIE fighters, I was hoping that they would re-release them and do like these are the First Order. I wanted Imperial one from the original Star Wars series, where it's just all gray and stuff. And then I was hoping that they would do like a SDCC exclusive where it's Sabine's, where she's like tagged it all up and it's crazy looking paint. I might still try to track down another one and just get 2 of them customized. Well, I'll have 3 of them. They take up quite a bit of room. They're hard to display and stuff. So, but we were talking about some things that maybe weren't Hasbro, like some other brands, like what would be some wish list, and one that I think you and I both said like first out of our mouth was Snake Mountain. Like
yes.
7, find a way to do Snake Mountain.
Yeah, I think Snake Mountain. I would say it's equal to how much I'd like a modern flag. Snake Mountain and flag are probably on par being number 1 for me. And that Snake Mountain that they showed that was in development at some point, man, I think that would be the centerpiece of my collection. I got a lot of stuff, but
did that have an interior? I'm sorry.
I can't remember seeing the guts of it. I just remember they had it in a giant glass case.
There was some people that got their camera and kind of tried to show a little bit.
Yeah.
If it has an interior, that'd be awesome. That'd be like finally doing justice for Snake Mountain.
Yeah, and it was like a combination of the old toy and the cartoon. It was a combo of the two, and I thought that was a really cool idea to do it that way. And Masters of the Universe is not my favorite toy line, but I do love Masters of the Universe. It's not my favorite, but one of the things I thought they did really well in that cartoon is like all the Castle Grayskulls, all the places, the Snake Mountain, the vehicles. It's such a really, the designs on that show, the backgrounds and all those things are so beautiful. So
totally,
it's art.
I love the Filmation Super 7 stuff too. It just brings back that nostalgia. Totally.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, because that's something the Super 7 was like, we're looking into it. And again, that was one of those questions that nobody asked at Toy Fair. Are you still looking into it? Because Mattel was going to do it for $399, I believe is what it was. So $400. And I was okay with that. They were going to have like Bluetooth in it where you could talk on your cell phone and Bluetooth hooked up and it would do the noise like you had the microphone. I'm like, you know what? You can even gut that. I don't need that. Sure, that'd be cool if you had a kid and you wanted to play it and kind of, hey, this is kind of not exactly how it was back in my day when I was a kid, but this is the newest technology, kind of paired up. It was kind of like this. I don't know how often you do that. And one year it's a $400 item. Are you really just going to let your kids go crazy with it? Probably not. So, but yeah, that would be one. What about you guys?
Man, I can't think of anything I collect outside of Hasbro. Well, maybe a command center for Power Rangers. That's a Saban product. So it may be a deluxe size, ultimate looking command center.
Yeah.
Compared to what we got, years ago, but like an updated version, more badass looking.
It'd be cool if they did. What the DC Direct had for the animated series for Batman. They have that just the little bat computers in the center of the cave. It'd be cool for Power Rangers if the new Marvel Legends style Power Rangers figures, the Legacy stuff, if they could fit, and you only got like what you would always see as the interior of the command center, just that circular thing with the computers and the rods that kind of light up. You know what I'm talking about? And maybe it comes with Alpha 5 or whatever.
Right.
That would be really cool. I mean, I think that would be a cool project.
Yeah, Jonathan McKnight, he basically mentioned the other ones that I would be interested in is the Cat Slayer for Thundercats and also Thunder Tank.
That's solid.
Have those two just sitting there with your 5 Thundercats that they released.
If somebody can get that license and finish up what Mattel started.
Yeah,
I know Super 7's trying, or they've tried.
Yeah, and it wasn't a Mattel putting the hold on it. It was not Warner Brothers, Time Warner.
Okay.
Time Warner that was like, no, we were planning on doing something with that. Like, we don't want anyone messing with that. Meanwhile, Loyal Subjects is doing all this other stuff.
That, yeah.
And then you're allowing Super 7 to make like He-Man style one. I'm like, so I mean, what is the deal here? I feel like somebody's not telling me the truth here. So
yeah.
Did you have any more sport events that you wanted to add?
I was gonna mention the Technodrome from Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Like a classic one.
Oh yeah,
that'd be cool.
Oh yeah, that was another one I was thinking of. Like for a sewer set, like just kind of, I guess, not like the playmates for the where it's obviously catered towards kids and it's 4 feet tall or whatever, but like I've got my NECA turtles and stuff like that, not the quarter scale ones, but the smaller ones, and if they had like some kind of cool sewer set, you could even make it like the vintage one, but just cell shade it and make it look kind of cool. I think that would be nice. All right, let's go ahead and jump into convention, basically do's, don'ts, what you need to be aware of. I mainly focused on what you need to bring. And
deodorant, clean underwear,
your own snacks.
I put backpack because you need somewhere to put all this stuff. Hand sanitizer, deodorant, few energy bars, bottled water or empty bottle. That way, whenever you finish it, you can go refill it again at a water fountain. It's going to be much cheaper. Because I use my phone to record a lot of stuff. I have a smaller battery backup that when my phone starts to run low, I can plug it in. Well, I ended up buying, I remember last year, I ran the battery out on my phone and also my battery backup, even while I was recharging them both throughout the show, like every chance I got. And the battery ended up dying on me, like in the middle of a panel. So I bought this new one where it can, recharge my phone like at least 8 times or something like that. Have your schedule worked out for, prior. What panels do you want to go to, and recognize, like, are these the big auditorium panels that it's going to be a ton of people? That way you can kind of figure out what time you need to get there early so you can get a good seat. Also scheduling as far as, eating if you're with a group, but y'all kind of split off to go to your own other panels or whatever at some point. I did mouthwash, extra shirts, socks, and underwear. You don't want no sweaty drawers whenever you want to go eat at night. Comfortable shoes. Have some cash on you. Not like Dakota though. Like Dakota, he would go to BotCon and just go, all right, I got $2,500 cash in my pocket. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like he's ready to just blow it all. Also, yeah, I put if there's a particular color of pen that you prefer. Because they're all going to have black, and some of the people that sign autographs and stuff, they might have a silver, red, blue. They might have all these different colors, but if you want a particular one, like silver or something, you might need to bring it. So just have it already. And I put Kleenex or TP. I would probably just bring TP, just because if you do have to end up going number 2 in those places, I mean, the grade level of their TP is like one step above like sandpaper. So, and it's like super thin. So I like my own TP is what I'm trying to say. I like to be soft.
Bring your own Charmin.
Yes. And then put my clean underwear on. So what else do you guys got?
I usually take at least a small list of things that I want, and then I'm kind of with Dakota. Like I usually like to have some cold hard cash on me, especially if my list looks like it's a little bit crazy, and sometimes the list can be a little crazy.
Money talks too.
Yeah,
cash talks before plastic does.
Yeah, Rob Milton says he goes take a shower. Yeah, I figured that was kind of a given one, but yeah, you're right. It seems like a lot of people don't. And he said, he carries a bunch of cash. He says cash is king,
That's right.
Let's see, Jonathan McKnight says vendors are like, man, here comes a well. And Robbie says, I've noticed vendors are more willing to deal when cash is used. Yeah.
I was going to say my first major con I went to was BotCon 2010. And I remember standing outside the hallway for Megamus to open the door to let people in to get his exclusive he was doing at the time. And I remember everyone crowded in that room. I mean, it was elbows and assholes in there. And I was stuck next to this one dude in a wife beater shirt that had just pure sweat all over himself and stunk like he hadn't showered in 2 days. So I'm sorry. I am so big on cleaning your ass. Clean underwear, extra underwear, deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste. I mean, personal hygiene is a must at any convention. If you go to a convention and you shower once for a 4-day show, stay the F away from me. Period. So, Josh, you're going to clean your ass next weekend.
Man, I clean all the time. Remember when I went to the Little Rock Comic Con? Like, I went to the bathroom probably like 6 times a day. Oh, I was like, yeah, I wanted to use my own hotel bathroom and everything.
It's so much nicer when you have your own little confined space, because if you go to one that's like a multiple use, you're like, what cesspool of germs am I about to put my ass on?
Another thing I was going to say, because you were talking about have a list of what you want to buy. I do that, but I also price it out on eBay, what things are going for on eBay.
Yep.
So I've got a general idea.
Sold stuff. Completed sold stuff.
Yep. And I'll even have stuff that I'll have completed sold stuff and have those prices there, and then I'll make a little note section in my phone, and then I'll also pull up my eBay app and stuff that hasn't sold yet. I'll have it listed or like buy it nows and stuff, I'll have it saved or watch, or watch, I guess is whatever you call it.
Yep.
That way, if they're trying to haggle with me, and they're like, no, and we're a little bit off, I'm like, I'll just buy that shit right in front of them, off my phone.
They hate it, but I've done that. Dealers hate that, but I've done
I'm like,
it more
look,
than
man,
once.
look, you want to do business right now? You want to go home with that? Risk not selling it, or or you want to sell it to me, or I'm just going to buy this right now. And they're like, I'm not selling it to you for that price. Boom. And they're like, oh my, and then they kind of freak out, or every once in a while, they'll kind of freak out. Oh man, if you would have just worked with me a little, I would have done it. I'm like, dude, I told you. So
I will say the cons have gotten better as far as like if you don't want to carry all cash with you and a bunch of it. It's gotten better. I know like a lot of for the Transformers stuff, if it's hardcore like G1 Japanese stuff and it's got just real expensive items, most of those dealers, if you're that person and you're buying like something that's a grail piece, most of them will take PayPal. Almost all of them will take PayPal. And I'd say, I did that for like BotCon 2013 through 2016. It got a lot better near the end of that convention's run. So there are dealers that will take the PayPal, just walk up to them and ask them, especially if it's expensive stuff. They just want that money.
Yeah, because ATM machines, especially if you're going to be going to a convention like what we're going to next week, I mean, you're probably going to have 65, 75,000 people there. Those ATM machines, like their price is jacked up. Like, so the fee is probably like $8 on top of it. It's going to be out of money by like 10 a.m. So.
I know when we went, I think it was a $6 or maybe it was a $10 fee. I can't remember. It was a pretty pricey fee.
Yeah, they jack them up. Just think of like when you go to sporting events, it's just like that. Yeah, you want a soda? It's $10. Also with the food, like what Mike and I did is we kind of looked at some of the little restaurants they had inside, and it was like nachos. Like you can't call these things nachos in Texas. It's just chips and cheese. I call that chips and cheese. Those aren't nachos. But they're like, oh, these are $7.50 or $8 or something like that. And the soda is like $7.50. I was like, well, that's 50. I'm like, Mike, I was like, we walked right past the McDonald's, like a block away. Do you want to go walk a block and just get a McDonald's? And they had theirs still just regular price. Just go in there, and not that I hate McDonald's food, but it wasn't going to be like it was going to be fine dining anyway. So.
The best thing when we went to Dallas Fan Expo last year was that cup. Remember that souvenir cup you could have got? And you paid X amount. You got all the refills you wanted for like $10 or $14 or $15.
I think it was the cup, or it was like this big, like steel mug or something like that. And I think it was $15, but then it's unlimited free refills.
The whole weekend.
Yeah, the entire weekend.
Yeah,
but the thing that we did is we went to McDonald's and we just I just drank as much soda as I wanted there. Ordered a number, and you pay like $7 for it, and then unlimited refills and fries and whatever. So there's little restaurants usually near those places.
Well, I was going to say, I think I'm going to hold out on lunch and save myself for Hooters at that big Texas table.
Yeah,
like we did, because we went last year to Hooters and we watched basketball, and I had 2 or 3 baskets of wings and 4 or 5 beers, and that was loaded.
I hope we'll be able to get the Texas table, because we're gonna have quite a few people with us. I think it's like 6 or 7 at least. So, I know there's more. You guys got any more? I always bring shorts and jeans, because in Texas, like I can walk out and one day it's 95 degrees and the next day it's 45. So I have not. It's hard to predict the weather here. Let's see.
The other thing I do, like if I know, like for a JoeCon, which is coming up shortly, and I know I'm driving, I'll make sure that I bring like certain containers, like whether it's Tupperware containers or bubble wrap, especially if you're buying something like Mike's getting a Defiant, I think, this year at JoeCon. So I know like he'll prepare to be able to put that in the car. You need certain things to keep stuff safe. So
yeah, bring an SUV is what I got to do.
Yeah. But I'll always pack a little bit of bubble wrap and some containers and, stuff like that. So if you're dealing with suitcases and, other things in your car, you're ready to go. You're ready to pack your stuff up and keep it safe and minty for the trip.
Yeah, I mean, when Mike and we went last year to this Fan Expo Dallas, we went like seasoned veterans. I think even our parking spot, it was like, oh, there's spots open, but we're gonna keep on going a little bit further to the top to find a spot where it's right up against the wall. That way, I know there's only like one person that could possibly ding my car. It's not coming from two ends, So we did that. As soon as we checked in, all right, what's the Wi-Fi password and all, get all that information up front and ready. So that where's all this location? We got our shuttle service. Let me get his card, because a lot of these hotels, they'll shuttle you within like 5 or 10 miles.
And they shuttle us to the convention center.
Yeah, and to Hooters, and then
Hooters
because we got drunk. And then they came and pick us up. We're all stumbling back into the car. There was one, I forget what it was. Oh, it was on the way to Hooters. And then there was like all these women.
Oh, yeah.
In there with us. And they're like, oh, so where y'all going? We're like, we're going to Hooters because we would like the wings. And they're like, oh, yeah. Y'all guys look like y'all love wings, I was like, they are tasty. So, they were giving us a hard time.
If there's going to be people that you want to get autographs for, like prepare way ahead of time.
It's so funny you should mention that. I'm actually doing that right now as we speak. I'm actually looking up the guest I want to go see and look up their prices right now and see what they're charging.
And then if it's like a comic artist or writer or something like that, you want to make sure if you collect the series like Transformers for me, every year before BotCon and even the JoeCon, I'll pack like some extra bags and boards for comics. I'll pull the issues that I want to get signed. Like last year, I knew Larry Hama was going to be there, so I didn't even pull like new stuff that he's doing. I pulled the stuff that when I was a kid, I actually went back through. I've got like a ton of old comic boxes, found all my original G.I. Joes, and I got him to sign those. But you just need to prepare. It takes a little bit of time to think through it, but it's worth it in the end, when you could come back with stuff that, you really look forward to owning, to having.
What else you guys got?
I was going to say bring an extra memory card. If your phone takes one of those micro ones or if you use a camera, it never hurts to take a spare.
Yeah, probably got to do that. You just got to remember to unformat it and dismount and all that stuff.
Be sure to take your phone charger with you because you will definitely find a place to charge it up at. That's what we had to do.
Yeah. I got that now, that new that heavy duty like phone charger. The one I had, it was just like a single little bar, like about this long and about this big around. And it'll put like maybe a charge and a half. This new one I got, man, this sucker is like this big and like this thick. Like,
you can jumpstart your car, yeah.
Yeah, dude,
it's like the Ghostbusters Proton Pack. That's what you got now.
Yeah, I read on there. They're like, yeah, I can charge your phone like up to like all the way from 0 to 100, like 8 to 10 times or something like that. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking. They were like to get it warmed up. It has to set on the charger itself for like 4 or 5 hours to get to its maximum capacity. So I'm ready. I'm gonna bring the little bitty baby one with me too, just in case someone needs it. We got anything else? No, we can always talk about conventions.
I was just going to add, before you even go, make sure you get plenty of rest. I mean, that's probably obvious, but
Because you're not going to get it during the convention.
exactly.
Oh yeah. Oh, and energy drink for Sunday morning because
We got
especially if
that.
you're hungover. Yeah, we got that on that way, dude. That's my favorite energy drink. Those ones that those purple monsters that
Yeah, they were giving
those-
away for free.
that they were giving it to us.
Yep.
Oh man, they taste so good.
Yep.
That's the only those are the only energy drinks I buy now. So
I hate to bring this off subject. Have you looked at the Dallas Fan Expo website lately?
a couple days ago.
All the people who canceled?
I
Because Karen Gillan canceled. Now
didn't
Frankie,
care about that. Yeah, I knew Frankie canceled.
Sequina Green Martin's canceled.
Yeah, I knew that one. That's the Walking Dead and Star Trek chick.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know those two had canceled just a little while ago. And then I saw Ed McGuinness, a comic artist or writer, he canceled. And then reading on site, guess what the rumor going around is that Michael J. Fox is canceling, and they're getting Ben Affleck in his place.
I like Ben Affleck.
He's Batman.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Karen Gillan. Yeah, that super hot chick. Yeah, I did want to see her.
I did too.
Yeah. So, oh, that'll be fun though. I think it was some of my friends on PlayStation when I was talking to them about Michael J. Fox, and one of them was like, "Can you get me his autograph?"
Gonna be a big scribble.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the blind bag figures real quick. Just because I see them and I know that they're popular with some people. I liked whenever they first came out with the Transformers, they came out with the Creo little minifigures, and they had numbers on the back where there wasn't like a thing where it said this number is this person. But someone, the initial person ended up buying the entire wave and then made a master list for us. Because of those numbers being on the back, we could identify them. And then you could go in and that way, if you just wanted to buy the full wave, you could do that. Or if you wanted to, play blind bag figure thing or whatever, to where you end up with 6 of the same thing, you never can get the ones that you're looking for, then you can go play that game as well. But, I think it's obviously catered more to children, and it's gambling, and are we making it easier for kids to be acceptable to gambling as they grow older? I mean, am I wrong here? I even look at the same thing in video games where, you play and they're like, okay, now you can unlock these chests and God knows what you're going to get in there. Maybe it's something awesome. Maybe it's some garbage, but keep on playing, or also they do microtransactions. Some games do as well, which it's online gambling. Like there's been countries that have banned it, certain games, because they have that in their games. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Jonathan McKnight, he said, even loot boxes,
Mm-hmm.
You never know what you're going to get in those things. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Maybe I'm off the rails here, but that's what I think.
I don't know. It's an interesting point with the gambling. I never really thought of it that way. That's an interesting thing to think about and discuss. But what I have a problem is like, I love the Loyal Subjects Masters of the Universe when they came out with those vinyl ones, and then they had the Transformers blind boxes, and they're fun to get. But my big issue is more of the price, because you're spending $12 to $15 on something you don't know what you're going to get. So that's kind of a high price to pay for getting multiples of the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is
I
an
would rather
addiction.
buy
too.
them online. After people have found out that they just got double, triple, quadruple of something, then they're selling it cheaper online. I'd rather just buy it there because I have no interest in the the gambling thing. To me, it's the same thing as whenever you walked outside of Toys R Us or some like little restaurant, and they had the thing where you could put a quarter or 2 quarters in, turn the knob. They got some cool prizes, some that are crappy, and then you end up getting some like crappy plastic ring when you really wanted that little gummy hand thing that you could slap your sibling with. So, it's not like this is brand new. They've been doing it, with coin machines for a long time. But
and baseball cards too, like any kind of like sports cards. I used to get like the Upper Deck baseball stuff for a number of years, and man, that stuff can be pretty addicting. I could see the similarities, and the thing about it is like there's 2 ways to go about it. Like if you're a kid, because I remember being young and I didn't want to buy like a whole case of. It wouldn't even cross my mind to have bought a case of Topps cards as a kid. As a kid, you're like, I got $2. What can I get for $2? I'll take 5 squirrel nuts and 2 packs of baseball cards. But as like an adult, I know that if I get like the case and I got like the rookie cards and all the things, the set that I can put together. But there's definitely a risk-taking gambling into that, but that's been around for so long.
And so has the gambling problems, where people like they die over this stuff. They can't pay sharks, or they ruin their marriages and families, or just because they even call the toys, like they call them chase figures. Like, oh, you're like, it's already like a crapshoot of what you're gonna get, but there's this really, really rare, piece within this crapshoot. We're gonna call it a chase figure because you have to keep on coming back to play, and maybe you'll get it. Like, I mean, that is like the definition of gambling, in my opinion.
Totally.
So I just it's weird for me because like Mike, you have kids that are older, but Rick, you have a son that's younger. Like I would just kind of wonder how you would do that with him, or like do you explain it while you're doing it? Because I can't imagine that most parents they're not even thinking of it like that.
No, and he's gotten some of the. I've bought some of the like the Batman Lego little blind bags at Walmart. Like if he's wanting something sometimes and he just got like a really nice toy, because we definitely buy him way too many toys. I collect toys, so it's hard not to. I want to see that look on his eyes, but I will pick him up like a little bag of those sometimes. He maybe have gotten 5 of them, but we've never bought like a bunch of them all at once. Usually it's just like one bag, like here's a bag, and then like next month he might get one, and he puts together like a Lego figure. That's about as deep as it's ever gone. He's not at that age where I think like I would imagine like a few years from now, if he really got into it and he was liking the surprise of it, because I think that's what we're talking about is the thrill. There's a certain thrill to and an addictiveness to those things. That surprise. It's almost like if you like to toy hunt. At least toy hunting, it's sort of free. You're paying for gas and stuff, but going in that store and finding something on the shelf, I know all of us have had that moment where you have found something that you really like. It's tapping into that thing that you feel. But he hasn't gotten that to that point yet. But I could see like where kids a little bit older than him, if they did it all the time, it's sort of like a moderation thing for us with him and those things. He wants everything in the aisle, and especially because he's exposed to a lot of in our house. He's exposed to a lot of vintage stuff, and he wants almost everything. There's nothing that he's like, oh, I don't know why you're collecting that, Dad. It's more like, I want that for Christmas. I want that for my birthday. So, but we haven't gotten to that point yet with the little blind bags and stuff. And I don't think we've gotten cards or anything like that. I think it's just been the little Lego guys, the Batman one specifically. We did buy him some Creo, like maybe 2 or 3 of the Creo guys. He has some of those guys. Transformers.
Mike, have you had to deal with anything kind of related to that, or?
Nope, I got girls. They don't play with toys no more.
No.
No, just me. I'm the one looking. I'm the one gambling on that crap.
Well, I mean, let's say like I can't imagine is it a guy thing, you know, or a boy thing? Because like I can't imagine like a girl like going into like the makeup place or like MAC or something, and then just being like, all right, we have all these lipsticks, and like you're like, you know, which one do you want? They all cost the same, and like whatever one you pick, that's the one you're getting, no returns. And them just being like, oh, I got like some like weird color that doesn't go with anything, like, and them just being like, well, I guess I'll just keep on buying more, you know, because it's the thrill of the hunt, you know. I don't see them doing that. So
when I would go for blind bags, I did it for Transformers and G.I. Joe. Of course, I was always smart and I knew where to find the numbers on those. But once they went from taking numbers off the back of packages,
that's when I got out.
Yep, that's when I got out. I'm not going to fix to sit here and pay for 4 or 5 of them and get 2 of the same one or 3 of the same one.
Yep. So, all right. Before we get into the KB Toys little topic, I don't know how long we'll talk on that. You guys wanted to talk about Power Ranger comic or something. So,
well, I thought that this topic was interesting because of the way it was done. So I think was it about a week ago that well, let me backtrack even further. So I'm going to tell you about my experience just because it really surprised me and I didn't know what was going on. So I came home one night, I watched a few YouTube videos and I noticed that something showed up recommended for me. And it was like a 2-minute trailer and it said Power Rangers. And I had no idea what it was. And I watched it and I'm like, what? And it had Jason David Frank reprising his role, you know, as Tommy. And I didn't know what I just watched. I'm like, what is this trailer? Is it for like a new series? And I haven't been on top of Power Rangers. Is something that I've watched it through Turbo. And then after that, I watched some of the Super Mega Force and that's it. I don't get into any of the Sentai, the Japanese stuff. I'm not a Super Rangers fan, but it piqued my interest enough to like find out what it was about because I thought it was kind of well done. It was kind of dark and it was cool, but I didn't know what it was. So I researched it, found out there was a comic book. I knew there was a comic book that Boom Studios had been putting out, and I knew they were on about issue 24 around that. And I found out there was a storyline that had been building honestly since the first issue. And the Ranger book was out there. I went out and I got some of the trades, and I've only read, they're up to 25. This was all for an event called Shattered Grid. And I don't want to talk too much about it other than there's an alternate universe, Tommy Oliver, and he's pretty badass. And so I read the trades. I was like, I want to see what this is like. I'd heard people say it's actually well written. It's really good. The artwork's good. And, I'm a big Transformers, G.I. Joe. I grew up on Marvel, but I'm reading DC. I read a lot of comic books. And I would say that these books are as good as anything that I'm picking up outside of maybe Hama's G.I. Joe and Detective Comics, which are 2, pretty big books. They're well written, a lot of cult following around each of those. But they're as good as some of those. And so I read those. But what really appealed to me after I figured out what it was what those guys did to hype that comic book and this, this event, this Shattered Grid event. And I don't want to talk too much about it because reading it I had a really good experience so far reading it, and I don't want to spoil anything, but if you ever watched the Rangers at, back from '94 through now, and you have any interest at all, I think it's worth picking up and reading. But what appealed to me the most was how they marketed this comic book event. There's a lot of books out there that are kind of struggling, whether it's, Transformers or even G.I. Joe. I don't imagine their numbers are huge. I mean, the G.I. Joe book is selling out, but, I'm imagining their numbers aren't that huge. But Marvel and DC, even they've struggled, especially Marvel. There's been a lot of talk, and I know at the local comic shops, there's a lot of folks who have kind of jumped ship to DC, or they're just getting other stuff from Dark Horse, or Marvel's been struggling. But look at what these Boom Studios guys did. They piqued my interest, and Power Rangers isn't something that's in my wheelhouse. I like it. I've got a few things that are Power Ranger stuff, but I'm not a super fan. I went out and bought 4 trades. And now I've bought the single issues to catch me up. So I just thought that was worth talking about.
Kind of like a trailer to a comic book series.
Yes.
Kind of hype it up.
If I could play it before I play the video, I know we had problems before, but and this is what Boom Studios did, was that they showed the trailer at, I forget which con, was it WonderCon? It was WonderCon.
That sounds right.
They showed the trailer and they told people, if you want this book, you need to tell your local comic shop it's going to sell out. And it sold out before it shipped out. And they're saying now, we told y'all you need to get on it. So, I mean, me being, as I had a comic book shop at one time, and I have dealt with buying X amount of books to get certain covers. And this is like a one comic book. Apparently shops are only allowed to get one cover, and that was it. And it's reaching up to $125 already just for one book because of the cover. Some books that were like a 1 in 25 variant are going for $75. I lucked out, and my comic book shop guy got me a variant, but it was $9, which was fine. I told him I wanted to read the damn stories when I want to read. I don't want to have to pay the money online. Plus, shipping comics is horrible. I did it for years, and some people on the other end, they can be real dicks about it. Oh, this comic had a little nick here or a crumble here. I'm filing a complaint on you. I'm giving you negative. So I stopped dealing with comics online on eBay because it was a headache. Because there was, if you remember years ago, when the Hulk, there was the Red Hulk and the Green Hulk together. There was one variant, and it was a Christmas variant, where one cover was the Red Hulk hanging Christmas tree ornaments up. The other book was the Green Hulk. And then if you bought 100 issues of that book, you got a black and white wraparound cover. And I had one guy who bought all these variants, and he wanted that variant. And I told him, I'll do it, but you got to pre-buy the comic, which is $100. And he bought it. Granted, I only sold, I think, 20 to 25 Hulk books a month anyways. So I had to sell these other 75 books online. And I lucked out. There was one person that ordered, I think 20 of each cover. So that helped out tremendously. Of course, I was only selling them for $1.50 to unload them. And they were regularly like a $3.99 book, I think, or $2.99. But yeah, WonderCon told people this is what you need to do. And they were smart. Doing that trailer was like the best thing they could have done. I mean, it was it was smart. I mean, it's a badass trailer. Yeah. So, I mean, it makes me want to go back and get the trades and read them. But like I told you before we got on, I read issues 24 and 25. And it even says, and they said it everywhere, no one's safe. All bets are off. Honestly, this is an adult Power Rangers. This isn't for your children anymore. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to say too much because Rick hasn't read it, but the first two are pretty badass, and they live up to what they're saying. It's going to be, and it goes till August. That's what's really sad. It's going to take a while. It goes over Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Go-Go Power Rangers. Free Comic Book Day, which is next Saturday, there is a Power Ranger book that ties in with that as well. So get to your local shop that participates in that. And then there's the final chapter, which doesn't come out till August. So just since I mentioned Free Comic Book Day, that is next Saturday at your local comic book shops. But there will be the Power Ranger one. And there's also Unicron #0. If you're a Transformer collector on comics, the Unicron, which is a 6-issue series, which they also announced at WonderCon that they're wrapping up that whole story arc in comic series, and they're going to go out with a bang and basically reboot it when it's all said and done.
So, to get back to this, like, the other comic companies and I guess even smaller licensed comic book, companies, I feel like Boom Studios just set the bar for how to promote a comic book event. Again, I didn't even know what it was. I wasn't at WonderCon. And, I'm on the internet, but I'm not like on there all day long. I'll go to work, come home and check out here and there stuff that's going on. And it was well done. So, it was just well executed. So bravo. I thought they did a good job with how to hype a comic book.
Let's see if any of the big guys follow in those footsteps, like Marvel or DC. See if they do anything.
You would think that their movies that are always out, their movies do those.
Yeah, I was thinking that they probably use that.
So, if you don't mind, is this something that just came out? Is this like?
Yes.
Admittedly, I'm a real casual Power Rangers fan.
Me too.
I do like the way this sounds.
Yes.
It's right up my alley, so hopefully I can find this.
I would remind you of Shattered Glass Transformers, because basically the same thing. It's altered dimension. Autobots are evil.
Sort of. It is. So you're dealing with an alternate timeline for sure.
Right.
Like
exactly.
Mirror universe. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good.
And the book, I would recommend going back and reading. You don't have to read all of them. What Mike was saying earlier, it starts with, there's a prelude in Mighty Morphin 24 and Go-Go #8. Those are the two prelude issues. 25 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers starts the actual event, and you'll see it on the cover. It'll say Shattered Grid. I recommend going back to the beginning and reading it. And if you're a fan, like the heart of the show is I don't care who you talk to, it's going to be the Green Ranger. For almost everyone. I know there's some people that don't want to buy into that, but if you're a Power Rangers fan, a lot of people came in on the original one and the Green Ranger, and and Jason David Frank does his part for keeping that brand alive. If you follow anything that he does, he's everywhere. The book is definitely Green Ranger centric. It is Tommy centric. So if you liked Tommy or the Green Ranger or the White Ranger or any number of Rangers he's been, the book is he's definitely the center of that book. Both the one that and this alternate one that is pretty, like I said, he's just a badass. I don't want to spoil anything, but Mike said that nobody's safe, and that really appeals to me, because when I started reading it, I didn't know what the tone was going to be. And I wouldn't say that the tone is not like Dark Knight Returns or Watchmen. It's not like it's not so, every issue is not so bleak. I don't know where it's going to, I've heard that it gets darker now. And I've heard a few rumors, which I wish I hadn't seen, but I think it's going to get darker. But the first 15, 16 issues, they're just slightly dark. Like people get hurt, things happen. It's definitely not the TV show that you're used to, but the characters are. The words that they're speaking and how they're talking, it's well written. And the artwork is really well done. Now the painted covers are ridiculously awesome, but the artwork within is really good. So anyway,
that sounds really promising, because I'm one of those people who's dropped out of Marvel and DC, not because I don't like the characters. I just lost interest in the storylines.
I hear you.
And I'm not trying to bash anyone. I just fell out of it for a long time, and I love comics. It's just finding something that's worth picking up.
Yeah.
Do y'all want to shift to our last thing, KB Toys? Just going to talk about some stuff. All right, so there, before the Twitter account, there were a couple of, I guess, announcements that KB Toys is trying to come back, and that they had planned to come back, but it was going to be a longer process. One of the things that they had said was it wasn't going to be until like later in 2019 that they came back. One of the things that they were going to try to figure out was how can we exist with having to compete with Toys R Us, another just solely toy store. Now that they have been eliminated, now they actually are moving up their timeline to where they're looking at, like, I don't know what they put on their date, like September or October or something of this year, which I think is extremely early. Especially, and then I see that they had a Twitter account popped up, and I'm like, well, I'll follow that because I love KB Toys, or back in the day, and it seems like they're saying some things that make me think that this might be real, but as well, I kind of doubt it. One, I'm one of those people like, until you show me some proof, I'm just going to be like, oh, that would be nice, but I'm not really going to put any hopes into it, Like, I need some proof. And I didn't really hear about, like, you being at Toy Fair, because if you were trying to get all this in motion, you need to be, like, looking at everything and, hey, we're going to purchase this from you, Hasbro, and this from you, Mattel, and, all these different things, Funko, like, all these brands. And from last I heard, like NECA, they're like, well, we're not, no one's contacted us yet, so we're not going to speak on that, because someone asked about the KB toy, and they're like, well, we haven't talked to anyone, but we're willing to listen if it's true, So that kind of tells me, like, okay, you haven't talked to NECA. I mean, you're 6 months out from wanting to open stores all over the nation, and if you haven't already kind of got with brands about purchasing, you don't even have locations for stores. I mean, but you need, purchasing orders. I think it's probably BS, but I'm hoping that it's not.
I find it funny that they come out of the woodwork all of a sudden and say they're going to do this. I mean, they went under for a reason. What makes them think they'll, they're going to change or going to be different than what Toys R Us? I mean, I went to Toys R Us today. I want to rant a little bit about this, and it pisses me off. And I went to Toys R Us looking for a specific item, had the item number. They look it up, and they show to have 2 in stock, but they have not worked all their truck. And so usually they go in the back and look. And I kind of had to twist the guy's arm to go look in the back. And granted, he said he did, but they have 2 of them, but they don't know where they're at. They don't know where, nowhere to be found. And they're not holding anything for nobody no more. They're not supposed to be, at least. No layaways, none of that crap. But it just shows you some of the reasons why maybe they're going out of business. Is because, maybe it's because I'm an oversized man-child and they don't want to cater to me. But I mean, the point being is that I'm a customer. I am willing to drop $150 right now if you can find this damn item. But you won't get off your ass and go do it. So there's some of the practices of the employee standpoint of view of what's going on. The other part, which we talked about earlier, or mentions how, they went out of business because these damn bonuses, in my opinion. I mean, they went under, their ship is sunk. But what does KB think they're going to do any different? I mean, didn't they file bankruptcy and go under years ago? And why do they think they're going to be better now than they were then? What makes them think they're going to do better? Because all you're going to do is rehire the people that Toys R Us let go that aren't doing the damn job to begin with.
Well, I mean, that's probably true. Again, I think they said that we're not going to be a mall store.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, paying a lease on a spot in the mall is probably a lot less than doing a lease on a building. You know, where you've got the parking lot too, the upkeep, and all this other stuff. I just don't know how you do it though. And is it going to be what I remember at KB Toys is they had something in and it didn't sell well. 2 weeks, that sucker was in clearance bins.
Mhm.
I just everywhere, like they had toys all there, the very front. Like, this is on clearance, this is clearance, and I'm like, hell, that just came out 2 weeks ago. That's how I discovered in the 80s, like a bunch of toys that I had never even heard of. Like, that's how I even knew about sectars and air raiders and all this other stuff, is because my grandma would be like, well, we can get that, $15-$20 transformer you wanted, or we can get like 8 of these air raider things and 2 sectars and this Starcom stuff over here, because everything was clearanced. I'm like, hell, that sounds a hell of a lot better to me. Those are some cool toys, and I get a ton more for almost the same price. You didn't usually end up spending even more money initially, just because it was just such a bargain. The only deal was I had to keep it at her house, which I'm like, cool, whatever. I don't care where I play with my toys at. So that's how I found a lot of stuff. Sky Commanders. I would have never heard of some of this stuff. Centurions. If it wasn't for KB Toys and just clearance bins all the time,
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, what's going to be the main hook?
Well, the one advantage they have now is their biggest competition's gone. So maybe they're looking at that angle as no more Toys R Us. We have a better chance at getting a higher share of the market, because I don't know about you guys, but my Targets and Walmarts, there's nothing but empty pegs even now.
Yeah.
So if KB is on top of things this time around, they might have a shot.
I mean, is that going to be there? Because I mean, Toys R Us didn't have it. I mean, if you flip it, they didn't have any competition anymore either, and they still went under. But
they sucked. I mean, at least mine. I mean, I never had anything new to buy.
But Toys.
That's the hook, though. Is like, hey, we overstock, and we'll make sure we got it in stock majority of the time.
But Toys R Us was making a profit, you guys. Like, it was a leverage buyout, and that they were going under back in 2007 or 8. I mean, when the leverage buyout happened and all that debt was put on, these guys were making a profit, but they couldn't afford. It was a leverage buyout. I'm not sure what happened to KB. That's the missing piece of the puzzle for me. Is I don't know when they went away. Was it like 2008? What were they? Was that a leverage buyout as well? I don't know how much debt they were dealing with or what the story was behind the scenes.
You're right about that with the Toys R Us. They were making good profit.
Yeah.
No, they just couldn't pay the
debt.
Yeah.
It was too much.
And the only thing I remember about KB is they were going under because of the amount of money they had to pay for their leases. That's not the whole story. That's just one of the factors that played into them closing down the stores.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the amount of space that you would have to fill up like a Toys R Us. I mean, unless it was like the one that was closest to us, it looked like it was doing really well, and it was a Babies R Us / Toys R Us, and it was huge. But in this day and age, I just can't imagine this gargantuan building moving all these toys. Like, it just does.
I don't think we'll ever see that again.
No, I mean, it doesn't. I can't imagine that ever happening. I mean, my kid likes toys, but I do know. I mean, I know why he likes toys, but there's some kids I see that are mostly like, even his age at 5 and 6, into just the sports and electronics and stuff like that. I don't see a lot of action figures, and I don't think that's the talk on at the playground. Like, at least when I talk to my kid and I'm like, hey, what did you guys talk about today? And I'll ask questions sometimes like, hey, you know, do your friends like Transformers? Or, you know, everybody likes Hot Wheels at that age. But, you know, no one knew it. I've asked them, when I gave him G.I. Joe at a birthday party, all the kids gathered around to see what all the boys kind of gathered around to see what it was. And they were looking at the back of the card, and I told this story before on here, and they didn't know what that was, but they were all excited because the back of the card had like 50 dudes on it with different outfits. And, you know, some were on skis and some had backpacks and cool guns and, you know, all that stuff makes G.I. Joe fun. But so I don't know. Adults, we like to order a lot of stuff online. I mean, all of us do. I mean, we all like to toy hunt from time to time. I guess it just depends on how much time each of us has to do whatever, you know, those things. But I had heard someone talking about it would be more like a holiday type situation. Like when I guess we all have the spirit of Halloween, they kind of come in and go into whatever businesses are open, and they take over for what, like 2 months, and they are in and out. I heard like that might be the type of thing that happens with toys, and whether it's KB or not, I don't know. I've heard those conversations.
BZXA, what's up, man? It's been a while. He said, I worked at KB Toys in the early 2000s. There was no space for stock. The biggest fear was having to go on the top shelf.
I remember.
Yeah, I remember that. You know, they were always full of stuff. I mean, KB, in my area, they were always packed to the brim. There was stuff on the floor even.
Yeah. I remember when was it around the time that McFarlane had branched out and was the Image stuff. They had like Wetworks and Young Blood and Spawn, and they had all these different. I guess it was like the height, I would say, at the peak of like McFarlane stuff everywhere. And I remember going in like KB, and they didn't even have room for his assortments because some of those figures are gargantuan, like. You know, so yeah, I remember that space being a real issue, and trying to look through the back and find the one that you needed was hard to do.
I mean, I guess we'll see more. I'm not going to put a ton of excitement into it until I get a little bit of proof here. Or until like some brands start saying that, yeah, we're working with this, you know.
And even FAO Schwartz wants to come back into the game apparently, but that's not much not much information on that yet. But that's what I've heard.
They were pretty limited, right? We didn't have any in our city, but I knew there was one in maybe DC, was closest one to us.
Yeah, I had one in San Francisco. And it was huge, and then Toys R Us bought them out, and they were gone. But they're a high end toy store, at least back then.
Yeah, I definitely remember. I remember buying a lot of stuff from KB, and I bought my original Nintendo there too, and Kung Fu and all that stuff. Not just toys.
All right, guys. Well, we've gone about an hour and a half, and that's where we'll probably need to cut it off. So let's go ahead and sign off, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. So, Mike, let's start with you.
Y'all can find me everywhere underneath Just Another G.I. Joe Show.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram now as Shatrdglassjazz.
Sportimus.
And you can find me again on YouTube as Sportimus, Facebook as Sportimus, and on Twitter as Sportimus Prime. Thank you guys for having me on, by the way.
No problem, man. And you can find me, G1Xtron, on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook page, the G1Xtron. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we will talk to you guys later. Peace.